Hey, good morning everybody out there in the vinyl community. Kimbo here. Vinyl tag time. Dylan put out a vinyl tag thread yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. 20 questions. So let's dive right into them. We'll go through that. So first one is favorite band from your home state or city. So if you've been watching my videos recently, this album right here, Mudhoney, their first EP, Superfuzz Big Mup, is pretty much one of my favorite things to come out of the Seattle area. Okay, next question is something highly recommended. So I've heard a few people mention this artist. I haven't seen him show a lot of records or albums, but Brandi Carlile, who is actually also from my state here, and this is, I can't remember, is their first or second official album release. All her stuff is great, but this one here is a really great album, right? Okay, the next item is a tip for a beginner. So I would say a good tip is be patient. You know, a lot of times you see all these vinyl community videos and you're like, oh, I got to run out and get that record. And you go online, or, you know, if you buy stuff online, you're probably going to pay top dollar. Chances are, if you're patient, you're going to run across it either in an estate sale, garage sale, or even at a record show, or even, I even find the local stores here are cheaper than buying stuff online. So, be patient. If it's something that you think you might see down the line, try and hold off on it. Okay, the first record that got me into deeper music. So I'm super old, which you'll find out in some of these later questions that talk about your birth year. But so I was in high school in the late 70s, which was a kind of a big time for music. A lot of changes, a lot of going from classic rock stuff of the late 60s, early 70s into first disco and then punk new wave. But some of the punk new wave stuff, you know, Devo got a lot of recognition early on, some others, but I had a friend in high school who introduced me to this album. And once you hear the Ramones, then yeah, when you've been listening to classic rock your whole life, your whole concept of music changes quite a bit. So you know, this led to, you know, Talking Heads came later on, and then all kinds of alt rock that came along in the early 80s. But Ramones was a big life changer for me. Okay. Obscure record that people don't know about. So what I came up with here was Shawn Phillips, and especially like his early 70s, late 60s, early 70s stuff. If you're into prog type music, Shawn is, as you probably could tell from the picture, kind of into that. It's kind of proggy, classic rock stuff. You know, well respected by the critics and stuff for his work, but just to me at least, never gained a lot of popularity. But this is actually a pretty good album right here. I really enjoy it. So, and then some of his other stuff is also very good. I have 3 of his records, but he's probably got 15 records out there. Okay, next question, number 6. Groups that you try to collect all their albums. Well, if any of you know me, I'm a big Pearl Jam fan, and I have like 3 of these cubes dedicated to Pearl Jam records. But what I've never shown is, I don't know if I can see this, is I also, you know, most people know Pearl Jam in 2000 started putting out all their concerts on CD, basically. Here's the 2000, all the 72 shows from 2000 here. Here's all the 2003 shows. Let's see. I know this is exciting stuff. Here's the 2018, all the 2018 shows. Came with this fancy box here. Here's the 2016 shows, and that's what those look like. So the years in between those, I'm still working on it, are not complete. I have several of them, but I'm not going to show that. Okay, number 7, a band whose second album is better than their first. So if you watch some of my videos early on, which very few people did, so I'll show these again, was Starcrawler. So this was their second album. The first album's great. This was their second album that came out last year. You know, even better. I think they got better on their songwriting, better on their songs. So definitely a better album. And actually, I think today is the singer, Erin DeWild. Today is her 21st birthday, so pretty timely there. Oh, Whack-A-Mole. Okay, so my A through O's is over here. I'm just going to reach over here through my P's through Z's. So it's going to be something in that area. So I don't know. Let's see. Should I close my eyes? I'll grab something here so it's easy to put back. And what did we get here? Oh, here we go. This is, I believe, a Santana album. Yeah, Santana. Welcome. And sure enough. So I'm not a huge Santana fan. I kind of grabbed this as something I saw cheap somewhere to fill out the collection of Santana. But I think most people are familiar with Santana. So, pretty good stuff. I'm not a huge fan of Santana, so I can't even tell you that much about that one. Show an album you listen to most of your life. So, as I alluded to earlier, I'm pretty old. I'm getting up there. So I've got, like some people have said, I've gone through a lot of phases. You know, I think I've talked it before. First, I was a Rolling Stones fan for several years and a completist on their stuff. And I probably listened to this album the most going through that phase, which is a great way to start if anybody's starting with the Stones. Excellent album. And, you know, then I kind of got into a little bit of a heavy metal phase, and Iron Maiden's second album, probably of all their stuff, I listened to the most. I started getting them right about when this album came out. Listened to several more there, saw them several times, but great album. But if we talk about the stuff, I probably, in the last 6 months, what I've listened to the most is these two have been, I've been spinning the most. Licky Lee's third album, Wounded Rhymes, great album. And then I think most of you have heard of Lana Del Rey's album from last year. Fantastic album. Okay. Number 10. Show an album with a story. And I wasn't sure if it was a story about how we bought it or if the album just has a story. But what I'm going to talk about this album right here. This album from Bob Cuban and the Inmen. These guys are out of, I want to say St. Louis, just outside of St. Louis. Actually, pretty good album, but kind of a funny title, The Cheater, with the picture and everything. But the ironic thing about this album is the person that actually sang the song on the album, his name is Walter Scott, was actually shot and murdered by his wife's boyfriend. So interesting story there on that album. Collecting pet peeves. Okay, so great question. I actually was gonna almost do a video on this one, probably never would have, but collecting pet peeves. So it started with this album right here. And most of you know what this album is right here. And then it moved into, oh, I'm gonna set that one aside. This, and this, and this, and this. And I don't know if you can tell what all these albums have in common. You know, trying to retie it up here. So, and then it came to a head, you know, with me a couple, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago with this album right here. So I'm at Easy Street in West Seattle, and if you've been to Easy Street, they have 8 to 10 new arrival bins. And when you're digging through there and you see this, you don't know what the heck it is. And sometimes, you know, you look on the spine, there's nothing on the spine. You look on the back, there's nothing on the back. And so it's like, okay, I'm really curious now. So I even pulled the vinyl out and look at, here you go. Here's the vinyl. Nothing there. If you go to this side, you've got AFCGT. Hope you can see that. So I don't know if that's the name of the band, or the name of the record. But it worked. You know what? I was so curious, I bought it. So it turns out they're actually a local kind of experimental noise band. But point being, these guys can get away with it when you've sold 100 million copies of records. You can not put your title or the name of the band or the title of the record on it. With some of these other ones, it just drives me crazy when I'm at the store, and it's just more and more prevalent that bands just do not put their names or the name of the record on their records. It's like, be proud of your work, put your name on it. So that's one of my pet peeves with collecting. That's just an old man rant there, probably. So next question, or genre that people would be surprised you like. So if you've seen my Instagram, you know it, but I like older country, you know, early 70s and earlier, you know, Porter Wagner. I love Kitty Wells. I don't do a lot in my videos with these guys, Ernest Tubb. And, you know, the outfits are just fantastic too. I mean, look at that. Hank Snow, Hank Lachlan, that kind of stuff. And great picture of Dolly there. So anyways, that's probably a genre that people might be a little surprised that I enjoy. Record from the year I was born. So I was born in 1964. To me, not a great year for rock music. There was a lot of good jazz, it looks like, that came out that year. But anyways, here we go. The Rolling Stones first album came out in 1964, which is great album, of course. Okay, and then show a 10-inch. So I'm not a big fan of 10 inches, but if I'm at a garage sale or a estate sale and I see them selling them for $1, a lot of times I'll pick them up. So I really haven't picked up any new ones. So the only thing I pick up is older ones, back before they had the 12-inch LPs. And so I'll show this one, Webb Pierce, which I probably didn't pay more than $1 for, but it turns out this one's actually worth a little bit of money. Not a ton, but great album from an old country star there. Okay, an interesting fact about an album. I kept going back and forth on that one, but I'm going to show this one, and I don't have a huge story on it, but this album, Josef, interesting story. He was spotted at a guitar contest in, I think, the Houston area. And somebody from Scepter Records went up to him afterwards, and he was just killing it, and said, hey, has anybody talked to you about a record contract? And he said, yeah, but they all want to kind of control what I do or tell me how to play or something. And he goes, well, I'll let you do whatever you want. And so he did, and he signed with Scepter Records, and he put this out, and theoretically there was only 5,000 copies released of this. And I think later, under his real name, I'm not sure, he put out 2 country music records. But not a lot of information on that one. But and I think Dylan's shown this one several times, but I don't know if anybody's told that story, and they probably know more about it than I do. But that's what I've been able to dig up so far. Okay, show an album with the Animal cover. Well, here's a classic, Pink Floyd Animals, and there's a pig over there with the famous picture. We've all seen that one. Oh. Show an album with crazy artwork. So I've chosen here Pearls Before Swine, and this one actually has the there was also some art that actually came with it, a little bit of an art poster. Kind of looks like that, but yeah, I think this was 68, 69, but great album. If you like your psych, prog kind of rock. Pearls Before Swine. A really good album you get for cheap. So I chose these two Supertramp albums, Even in the Quietest Moments and Breakfast in America. I mean, both great albums. They don't get shown much in the VC, and they're usually really cheap at record stores. You can usually get them for less than $5 or $5. But great records, absolutely fantastic. An album with acquired taste. So I chose this Mortal Coil, and this is Filigree and Shadow, which came out, I believe, in '86. You know, when I first heard this back in the late 80s, I was like, what is that? And it's kind of emo, a little bit dark, but this was basically a bunch of the people in the 4AD, people that were on the 4AD label, just kind of at the studio, experimenting, doing some music, but it's actually really good. And, you know, there's a couple Tim Buckley songs on here, and a David Byrne song, but really good stuff. It just grew on me. Let's see. So recent finds. So this is kind of timely because, let's see, I think Dylan put out this video on Wednesday. Tuesday night, I was talking to somebody around here who said he had some old psych prog stuff, some rare stuff for sale. So Tuesday night, I actually went over and purchased about 15 albums from somebody local here, and I'm just gonna run down three real quick. Blue Cheer, Inside Outside. This is a Caravan album, a kind of a British kind of pop psych from the late '60s, and then the in an Atomic Rooster album on the Pegasus label. So that is it. Thanks for doing this, Dylan. I think it's a great idea and easy to pull some stuff out. We'll see you guys later down the road.